Greetings and a warm welcome to all of you in the most blessed name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Here is a passage which Jesus Christ is healing a blind man. ఒక పుట్టుకతో గుడ్డివాడుగా ఉన్నటువంటి ఒక వ్యక్తిని మరి స్వస్థపరిచినట్లుగా ఆయన కన్నులు తెప్పించినట్లుగా మనం చూస్తూ ఉన్నాం. And when this was happening, one side, some people might have said, wow, what a mighty man, what a miraculous sign is performed. And this man may be very great, and this man is very powerful, that he is able to bring sight to a person who is born blind. And other people were questioning the source. There are so many elements which have happened in this process of healing. Jesus was calling that man, and he spits on the ground, then he makes mud and then applies on his eyes, and he was asked to go to a nearby pond, and he was asked to wash his eyes. People were trying to find out where is the magical power. Is that the spit or the dust or the water? So we get deviated. This is how we get deviated. It is the power of God which really restored the sight of that person. Setting aside the power of Jesus, we look at the ingredients. Whether it is the spit, then everybody would have asked Jesus to spit everywhere. Lord, you spit here so that we'll get healing. Spitting, no one would like to really accept that. Ummi veyadam evaru kuda ishtam undadu kadandi. Evarana ummesti ookuntama. We don't tolerate if somebody spits at us. It is not on us. Even looking at us, if they spit also, we'll ask them, why did you do that? It is an insult to me. We don't like that. And the other thing is the dust. Whether that place is so powerful, that mud is so powerful, people might have gone and examined also what is happening in this mud. Or the water, the pond water. People might have started to collect water also. You know, when a miraculous sign happens, we get carried away sometimes in a world where we live. We try to imitate that person, wear the shirt what that person is wearing, use the towel what that person is using, use the car brand whatever that person is driving. You know, there are so many ways we try to get deviated from the wonders of God, the mightiness of God. We undermine the miraculous power that God has, or God who is in control of everything. And that Siloam also is a very historical pond. Nehemiah Grandam 3 అధ్యాయం 15వ వచనం, Nehemiah chapter 3 verse 15. There we come across, and Shallum the son of Kol-Hose, ruler of the district of Mizpah, repaired the fountain gate. He rebuilt it and covered it and set its doors, its bolts and its bars, and he built the wall of the pool of Shelah of the king's garden as far as the stairs that go down from the city of David. So here, when people have come back to their land during the time of King Cyrus, that is where Nehemiah and Ezra, they started to rebuild the walls, and they restored this particular pool. The water which comes during the time of Hezekiah, I think, no, the water canals were dug, and underneath of Jerusalem temple, the water was flowing to feed the people's thirst. And when people have gone away for more than 400 years or 200 years, whatever it is, when they come back, they are trying to restore those building structures, and they are trying to regain the lost history. Recently in the excavations, the National Park of David is reopened for public. When you get chance to go to Israel, you can watch this pool of Siloam. And we see that people thought the water which is coming out of the temple courts is having the nature of healing. That is their understanding. Prophet Isaiah in chapter 8 also, he prophesies about what God has asked him to go and tell people that you have rejected this water of Shelah and you started to go astray. Therefore, the king of Assyria is going to come and take you all as captives. God was not happy when they rejected the water which God was providing. They wanted to go out of the temple courts and look around the world. And when they got deviated, God was not happy with them. And that is where God was revealing to that prophet Isaiah, and he was telling about the usage or the need to look towards God and depend upon God. And when this blind man was healed, and before that, there was a conversation between Jesus and disciples. In chapter 9, we come across in verse 2, ఆయన శిష్యులు బోధకుడా వీడు గుడ్డివాడై పుట్టుటకు ఎవడు పాపము చేసెను. అక్కడికే క్వశ్చన్ వేసి ఆపట్లేదు. దే డిడ్ నాట్ ఈవెన్ స్టాప్ క్వశ్చనింగ్ who is born blind, or this man or his parents. Who sinned? This man is born blind, and who is the cause of it? Who sinned? There they did not stop. They are trying to ask Jesus, is it because of his parents' sin? It is a rhetoric question. అవును కదా, నిజమే కదా అని ఎదుటి వాళ్ళని కూడా మనం అప్పుడప్పుడు ఒప్పిస్తూ ఉంటాం. Some questions we ask and we expect that answer and we say that ఇదే కదా అని అంటే వాళ్ళు ఓన్లీ తల ఊపాల. ఎస్, we don't even allow them to think. When we have a hidden agenda to convince people, we ask such kind of questions. And people around Jesus also were asking Jesus, it is true, right, Lord, that his parents have sinned? The perception of Jewish community is that if a person is born blind, their parents may be cursed people. Their parents might have sinned against God, and that is the reason their children are born with defects. Any ailment or any defect, Jesus is saying it is not the cause of that person or of his parents. ఇది తను గాని తన తల్లిదండ్రులు గాని చేసినటువంటి పాపము కాదు. It is not the sin of anyone. It is only to reveal God's glory. దేవుని యొక్క ఉద్దేశములను, దేవుని యొక్క మర్మములను తెలియజేయడానికి ఒక్కొక్కరిని ఒక్కొక్క విధంగా దేవుడు ఆయన ఏర్పాటు చేసుకుంటాడు అని యేసుక్రీస్తు ప్రభు ఇక్కడ జ్ఞాపకం చేస్తూ ఉన్నాడు. And these people, why they are having that kind of perception? Who sinned? In Acts of the Apostles, there is an incident. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 28, verse 4. అపోస్తుల కార్యముల గ్రంథం 28వ అధ్యాయము 4వ వచనం తెరిచి ఉంచండి. There the incident such happens. Paul, while going on to mission, he had to stop on one of the islands called Malta. And on that island, they were shipwrecked, and then they were feeling cold. And all the people of that island come and welcome these people. They extend hospitality, they provide fire, and Paul was trying to pick some sticks. Suddenly what happens, we will read in that. Somebody read that. Yes, so there was a creature, that is snake actually. A snake was rolled down to the hand of Paul. The moment people saw that, immediately they are looking at Paul and saying, this man sinned something against God. That is the reason God is judging him. ఈయన ఏదో తప్పు చేసి నరహంతకుడు, ఎవరినో చంపివేసి వస్తూ ఉన్నాడు కాబట్టి ఆయన చేతికి పాము వచ్చి ఇప్పుడు కాటు వేస్తుంది అని ఎదురు చూస్తున్నారు. దే ఆర్ వెయిటింగ్ ఫర్ దట్ పర్సన్ టు బి స్టింగ్డ్ బై స్నేక్ బైట్. దే ఆర్ వెయిటింగ్. దే ఆర్ నాట్ ఈవెన్ హరీయింగ్ అండ్ సేయింగ్ దట్ ఓకే, ఆర్ యూ ఓకే? They are trying to judge. That means when some kind of unusual thing is haunting us, when something is hampering our life, people around are judgmental. They try to judge us and saying, this man might have committed something against God. That is the reason now he is getting that punishment. We come to a conclusion very immediately. నిప్పులేందే పోగొస్తుందా? ఇది we try to ascribe and justify our judgment. ఏదో తప్పు చేశాడు కాబట్టి అక్కడ అది జరుగుతుంది. ఏం తప్పు లేకపోతే ఎందుకు జరుగుతుంది? This is how we look at, this is our perception about judging someone. When they saw Paul and when they were extending hospitality, and suddenly when the snake caught his hand, they immediately saying, no doubt this man is a murderer. Though he has escaped from the sea, justice has not allowed him to live. That means they were anticipating Paul to die, in other words. They were not even in a hurry to go and rescue him from the snake which was hanging to his hand. During the time of Jesus also, to teach people about, we cannot come to a conclusion about one person's life or a personality and judge saying that this person is a sinner. Jesus, he recalls in Luke's Gospel, chapter 13, verse 2. లూకా సువార్త 13వ అధ్యాయం 2వ వచనం. ఆయన వారితో ఇట్లనెను, ఈ గలిలీలు అట్టి హింసలు పొందినందున వారు గలిలీలందరికంటే పాపులని మీరు తలంచుచున్నారా కారని నేను మీతో చెప్పుచు ఉన్నాను. Jesus is trying to clarify. When Pilate, the governor, he sacrificed some human beings, people from Galilee, and then he kills them and he mixes the blood in some of the offerings which he was making to gods. And Jesus is recollecting that incident and telling those who are killed by Pilate, the governor, do you think that it is their fate? Do you think that they are sinners other than all the Galileans? Itara Galileela kante varu chala papula. Sometimes when catastrophes occur in certain places, we immediately say that they were speaking against Jesus. That is the reason this catastrophe has come. They have burned the Bible. That is the reason God is judging them. We try to judge people. Jesus is trying to remind, don't judge us. Judgment belongs to God. God is our judge, not we. Zach Ponan, one of the renowned speakers, while he was preaching and in some of the books he quotes, if you try to judge, it is a kind of pride which you have inherited from Satan. అది సాతాను నుంచి వచ్చినటువంటి అధికార వాంఛ. నీవు దేవుని యొక్క సింహాసనం మీద కూర్చోడానికి చేసినటువంటి ప్రయత్న ప్రతిఫలమే నీవు ఇతరులను జడ్జ్ చేయడం అని అంటున్నాడు. When you judge, you are trying to dethrone God from the throne. And you want to be the judge. You want to take the place of God. It is very dangerous sin. ఇది భయంకరమైనటువంటి పాపం. You need to be very careful. Satan always creates false prestige and false pride within us. When Satan got that pride, when he was as an angel in the presence of God, God immediately dethroned Lucifer. There is no room for pride people in the presence of God. You cannot boast and feel more supreme than God. That is what it means. When you are judging others, remember that you are dethroning God. You are aspiring to be God. That is what it means. Here we see that, Jesus was reminding, don't fall into the trap of this dangerous sin. Satan always creates within us some kind of pride. Garvamu manchidi kaadu. Garvamu samasta nashanamnaku moolam. It is self-destruction, not only your career, not only your family, but in the eyes of God, you are going to be destroyed. That is the concern with which Jesus is coming into the world and is trying to remind the incident which has happened during their time. Do you think that these Galileans who are killed and whose blood is mixed in the sacrifices, do you think that they are sinners? Do you think the other people are more righteous? No, it is not. Jesus is trying to demonstrate through his mission, through the incidents, through the words, and even in Paul's life also he was trying to demonstrate that. And did his parents sin? This is another thing which is the influence from the law of Moses. In book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 5. I presume Exodus 20, 1 to 10 verses everyone know by heart. What is recorded in Exodus chapter 20? 10 commandments. And one of those commandments in verse 5 it is recorded, you shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. The people who hate God. మీరు ఇతర దేవతలను ప్రతిమలకు నీవు మొక్కినప్పుడు దేవుడు ఏమంటున్నాడంటే నీ మూడవ తరమునకు నాలుగవ తరముకు కూడా నేను శాపం ఇస్తాను అంటున్నాడు. దట్ ఈస్ when you go against God, going against the will of God, that curse will be upon the humanity. The curse will be on that family. But when it comes to the prophetic ministries during the time of Jeremiah, Ezekiel, you know what God says? If parents have sinned, their children are not going to be punished. He changed his heart. He changed his mind. And now Jesus is saying, it is not the sin of these parents. Don't try to apply the law of Moses and say, consider somebody as sinners. Because the Jews are so much so fascinated to call anyone a sinner. Whoever is not reading the law of Moses, whoever is not coming into the temple courts, whoever is not paying the temple taxes, whoever is not honoring the law of Moses, they are considered as sinners. No matter, they may be very powerful people or wealthy people. Look at the Matthew tax collector. He is considered as a sinner. Zacchaeus, a tax collector, he is considered as sinner. When Jesus was associated with these people, Jesus was called sinner. That was the fashion of the day. That to call somebody, the Mosaic laws influence is upon people in such that they want to label anyone as a sinner. And this beggar is also considered as a sinner because he is born blind. But here Jesus Christ is demonstrating that I have come to rescue the sinners. That he is demonstrating the love of the one who has sent him. దేవుడు ఈ లోకాన్ని పాపుల కొరకే రక్షించడానికి వచ్చాను అనే సత్యాన్ని పదే పదే అక్కడ ఆయన జ్ఞాపకం చేస్తున్నాడు ఈ సూచక క్రియ ద్వారా. పాపిగా పరిగణించబడుతున్నటువంటి ఈ పుట్టు గురుడువాన్ని చూస్తూ ఈయన పాపము చేయలేదు, ఈయన తల్లిదండ్రులు కూడా పాపం చేయలేదని యేసుక్రీస్తు ప్రభు ఇక్కడ ప్రకటిస్తూ ఉన్నాడు. Praise God, what a great assurance that we have. When people call and label us as sinners, God is not labeling us as sinner. God is not judging us and saying, get away from my presence. God is not abandoning us, but is time and again reminding that you are my people. I have chosen you. I have come into the world to restore you, to give you a new life. The new way of life is taught by the very life and death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. He is reminding those people about three important things. I have come, we must do the works of him during the light. Light and darkness, these are the imageries very powerfully used by John's Gospel writer. If you look into the John's Gospel chapter 1 entirely, you speak about the terminology of light. He emphasizes about that light. He ascribed and connected to the mission and ministry of Jesus as the light. In several passages in John's Gospel, Jesus claimed that I am the light of the world. I have come to give light. If you are in me, there is no room for darkness. These are the powerful assurances that we see. What does Jesus mean when he says in John's Gospel chapter 9 verse 4 that we must do the works? దేవుని క్రియలు వీని యందు ప్రత్యక్షపరచడం అని చెప్పిన తర్వాత పగలున్నంత వరకు నన్ను పంపిన వాని క్రియలు మనము చేయుచుండవలెను. ఇట్స్ ఎ కంటిన్యూయస్ టెన్స్. That means it's not one time doing good work and say, ఒక ఫోటో మెమరీ పెట్టుకుంటాం ఏదైనా చారిటీ చేస్తే. ప్రతి ఒక్కడికి సంవత్సరం పొడుగుతూ అదే ఫోటో చూపించాలి. ఇక నేను చేశాను, నేనే చేశాను. But this is a continuous tense. You keep on doing. That is what the word of God says. It's a continuous tense. We must do the works of Him. We must. It is compulsory. There is no excuse. That is what it means. What are the works that we are doing in the name of Christ? We need to ask ourselves as we look at this passage. We need to do the works the one who has sent us. What are the works? Did we recognize what works that we need to do? Did we realize the importance of our existence? If we are living for ourselves, there is no difference between you and any other creature. జంతువులు కూడా జీవిస్తాయి, మనుషులు కూడా జీవిస్తున్నారు. అందరూ జీవించినట్టు ఉదయాన్నే లేచి అందరం తిని ఉద్యోగాలకు వెళ్ళి బడులకు పంపించి మళ్ళా పడుకొని మళ్ళా తిని మళ్ళా లేస్తే ఇంకా జీవితానికి ఏమీ అర్థం లేదు. Did you ever realize or ask question, Lord, what is the purpose that you have sent me into the world? In India, 1.2 billion. Among them, God has chosen a small percentage of community for Him. If He has to choose the entire whole nation, He could have chosen. But there is a purpose in choosing you and me. He has chosen from those 1.2 billion. That hardly 3.5% that we hear from independence time census. It's more than 70 years gone. Still we are hanging to that same percentage. But even in that small percentage, you and me are there. What a blessedness it is that God has called us. God has chosen us. There is a plan. There is a purpose. No one can say that, what is the use of my living? What is the point of my coming to America? Why am I living? What am I doing? You need to question yourselves. Jesus' disciples also, time and again, they were always asking Jesus certain questions. John's Gospel, chapter 6, verse 28. Someone read that. John's Gospel, chapter 6, verse 28.
వారు మేము దేవుని క్రియలు జరిగించుటకు ఏమి చేయవలెనని ఆయనను అడుగగా యేసు ఆయన పంపిన వాని యందు మీరు విశ్వాసం ఉంచుటయే దేవుని క్రియ అని వారితో చెప్పెను.
Yes, someone read from English, please.
Then they said to him,
What must we do?
What must we do?
To be doing the works of God.
To be doing the works of God. To be doing. మేము ఏం చేయాలి? Jesus answered them.
This is the work of God.
This is the work of God.
That you believe in Him.
That you believe in Him.
Whom He has sent.
Whom He has sent. That means believing in Jesus is the primary requirement. That is the work of God. You are doing the work of God by believing in Jesus. Jesus was asked by His disciples this question and Jesus is giving this answer. నన్ను పంపిన వాని యందు మీరు విశ్వాసం ఉంచడమే. ఎంతవరకు ఉన్నదండి మన విశ్వాసం? హౌ మచ్? వాట్ ఈస్ ద స్ట్రెంగ్త్ ఆఫ్ అవర్ ఫెయిత్ ఆన్ ఎ స్కేల్ ఆఫ్ 1 to 10? చెప్పండి. I want to know. When we go to doctors, this question is asked by doctors. If you say, my shoulder is paining, in that they'll ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much is the pain? Pain is pain, isn't it? That is the answer generally, normally we give. Pain is pain. What is this question? And Jesus' disciples time and again asked Him, Lord, what it means to believe you? How much faith should we have? And Jesus described about the size of a mustard seed. Ava ginjanta vishwasam unte chalu. Jesus telling, you must demonstrate the faith, the size of a mustard seed. That is where enough. Anta chalu. Sometimes we tell about our children, 100 వద్దులేనైనా 90 తెచ్చుకుంటే చాలు. నాకు అంత పెద్ద నమ్మకం ఏం లేదు. I don't have that much expectation. 90 is enough. I'm not expecting 100. But Jesus is not even telling that. 1% is enough. 1% of faith is expected from us. Do we have that faith? How are we demonstrating our faith in God? ఏ విధమైనటువంటి విశ్వాసం, ఏ విధమైన నమ్మకం మనము దేవునిలో ప్రదర్శిస్తున్నాం? మనం చేయవలసినవి అన్నీ చేసి అన్నీ ఫెయిల్ అయితే ఇది దేవుని చిత్తం కాదేమో అనే కన్క్లూజన్. దట్ ఈజ్ హౌ we are. We look around the world, we explore everything, we do every attempt. We ask every brother, sister, pray for me, pray for me. I don't want to pray, I don't have time, I'm so busy. Please, you pray. If you pray, God will listen. You fast and pray for me. We don't want to fast, we don't want to pray. When things go wrong, when our relationship is not right with God, you pause in your life, take a break from your routine. A Lenten season is a very beautiful season to begin with in our life in the new year. Take a break, pause yourself, fast and pray. Then God will reveal to you every answer that you are struggling with. He will show the way when you do not know which way to turn. Jesus' disciples asking Jesus again and again these questions in gospel writers, recorded very beautifully. What we must do, the size of a mustard seed. You trust me. In John chapter 14 also he says, you trust me and also trust the one who has sent me. I am going ahead of you to prepare a place for you all. Because there are many rooms in my Father's house. I am going to come back and again take you. He is going to come. He is going to take us. Do we believe in that? Do we live for that? Our faith journey is such a mysterious journey, such a blessed journey. Don't live for this world. Just don't live for today. There is something beyond. There is something beyond. God has a plan and purpose in you. He is trying to mold you. He is trying to prepare you into that process of perfection. How you are going to react when challenges come on your way. This blind man begging near the temple is not an ordinary thing. For blind people, ears will be very sharp. Whoever is talking very slowly also they can hear. That is the blessing that they have. He might have heard so much of grumbling from the people. People might have cursed him while giving alms. People might have hated him to the core. I want to go to the temple, but why am I seeing this man's face? We don't like to be addressed by our name by a beggar. Isn't it? In India, near the church, there will be so many beggars. If somebody calls you by name and says, how are you? Do you respond? Hey, why are you calling my name? Am I your friend? Immediately we react. We don't like, isn't it? Something comes in our mind, Hey, why are you calling my name? I'm not your friend. You are not my relative. Why are you calling me? You ask politely, if I will, if my mind says to give, I'll give. Otherwise, I won't. We don't want to associate. This beggar might have gone through a lot in his life. The curses, accusations, disrespect, abuse, so much he might have gone through. But still, he was touched by God. Jesus was coming to him and he was healed by God. And when he got healed, in verse 38, it says, in John's Gospel, chapter 9, verse 38, we see the tremendous transformation in this man. అందుకు వారు లేదమ్మా 38వ వచనం. అంతట వాడు ప్రభువా నేను విశ్వసించుచున్నానని చెప్పి ఆయనకు మ్రొక్కెను. The same man said, Lord, I believe, and he worshipped him. Believing in Jesus and worshipping, we are worshipping beings. We are called to glorify him. We are called and chosen to glorify every time. Worship Him, worship Him. Because in heaven there is always worship, nothing else. This is a preparatory land. This is a preparatory time for us in this world. How to stand and worship the Lord. Nothing else. How to worship the Lord. God is preparing us. How to stand in the heavenly court and glorify Him along with the angels and archangels. Learn here in this world while you are alive. Once you die, you cannot come back and say, let me go to the church and learn worship. While you are alive, spend your time in the temple courts to worship Him. And this man, after receiving sight, he was going around and people were surprised. And they were asking questions. You look similarly same like that beggar. Are you the same person or not? They were hesitantly asking him. He says, yes, it is me. It is me. Nene a guddivanni. He is affirming the transformation that he has gone through in his life. As a sinner, how he was abandoned, and when he was restored, he is going around and witnessing. When he sees Jesus with his eyes face to face, he immediately worshipped Him. He bowed down and he worshipped and he started to believe in Jesus. This is the work that every believer should do in their daily life. The second aspect that Jesus is trying to remind us, that to believe in Jesus means to risk our life for Jesus. What risk can we take? What are the risks involved in our faith journey? You need to write a document on yourself, agreement between you and God. What is my faith? How much percentage of faith in God? And the second one is, what are the risks that I am able to undertake for God? We read from the 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 1 to 13. That's a beautiful incident that God has left Saul, King Saul, the first king of Israel, and he was choosing King David. And in that process, God calls Samuel. Samuelను పిలిచి అంటాడు, నీవు వెళ్ళి యెషై ఇంటికి వెళ్ళు, అక్కడికి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత ఒకరిని నువ్వు అభిషేకించాలి అని అంటాడు. The moment when Samuel hears that commandment, he immediately thought of King Saul. King Saul may kill me. If he comes to know that I am going to consecrate another king for Israel, my life is at risk. A great prophet is fearing about his life. Sometimes we may do great things, dare things for God. But when God is asking us to do certain challenging things, we immediately think about our comfort zone, about our luxury, about our life. How can I risk my life? Many times, if some danger is there for the presence of God, we don't go there. If there is some kind of restriction, we dare to speak about our faith. These are the days in which we live today. We are restricted to exercise our faith. We are restricted to have a conversation about your faith. You are restricted to say that or to profess your faith openly. These are the days in which we live. In spite of all these situations that we encounter every day, how can we take the risk? Samuel was trying to risk his life there. He showed obedience to God. He goes to the house of Jesse and he started to look at people. He started to ask, is there anyone? Is there anyone else? Samuel was looking at the physical appearance, but God was looking at the heart and mind of the person. When we are risking, you do not have to judge. You do not have to tell about the outcome of your work that you are undertaking for mission. The outcome belongs to God. You are asked to sow the seed. విత్తనము వేయడమే నీ యొక్క బాధ్యత. అది ఫలింపజేయడము, ఎదిగింపజేయడము దేవుని యొక్క బాధ్యత. You need to initiate that. Don't look at the risk. I know, God, if I am going to sow the seed, it is not going to come. Sometimes in the backyards we try to become farmers. When we sow the seed, sometimes it doesn't come out. Immediately we look at alternatives. My son does, it comes. My daughter does, it comes. Not me. We'll ask them to come and sow the seeds. నీ చెయ్యే చాలా మంచి చెయ్యండి, నా చెయ్యి బాగాలేదు. అలా ఒక స్త్రీ చెప్పి నా చెయ్యి అంత పాడు చేసింది. పాస్టర్ గారు మీరు విత్తనాలు పెడితేనే బాగుంటుందండి అని నమ్మి పెట్టా, మొత్తం కాలిపోయింది. కెమికల్ ఇక్కడ ల్యాండ్లో తెలియక. సమ్టైమ్స్ వీఆర్ క్యారీడ్ అవే. నేను నిజమే అనుకున్నా, అయ్యో ఆమె అంతగా అనుకున్నా అంటే నిజమే అనుకున్నా. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ జస్ట్ వన్ టైమ్. ఎవ్రీ 3 months షీ యూజ్డ్ టు కాల్ మీ అండ్ సే సో ద సీడ్స్. There is risk involved. Sowing the seed is not about the physical thing, what Jesus is saying. You need to nourish the souls around you. Take the risk. How much risk can you take? How much time can you give in saving a soul? In your journal of life, if you have to read after 60 years or retirement, that what did I do during the service time for God? Is there a good memory that you have to boast? When you are lying in the hospital taking treatment and when doctor is asking you to take rest, is there anything to ponder that the risk that you have taken for mission, for Christ's sake, ఏ విధమైనటువంటి నీవు రిస్క్ దేవుని కొరకు తీసుకున్నావు నీ జీవిత కాలం అంతా? What are the risks that we are doing today? We are in comfort zone, no doubt about that. We know what to decide. We know to make decisions, but the risk that is involved, even though you walk through the valley of shadow of death, you should not fear. That is the assurance that we have in Psalm 23. King David composed this beautiful psalm, Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Because He is a comforting God. He is the provider. He is a sustainer. Then why am I worried about all that? That means your relationship with God is at stake. You are not trusting Him. Your very fundamental relationship with God is at stake when you do not trust God. When you are not able to risk your life, risk your time, risk your job, risk your family. If you love me, your family will hate you. If you love me, the world will hate you. Jesus already proclaimed these things 2000 years ago. Do not worry about the relationships when you are having good relationship with Christ. Do not worry about your sustenance when your job is coming as a hindrance between you and your faith. నీ విశ్వాసమునకు భంగం కలిగించేది ఉద్యోగమైన, కుటుంబమైన, నీ రిలేషన్షిప్స్ అయినా పక్కకు దోసేయండి. Can you risk that? If you are not risking, then how much trust do you have in God? That is the question that we need to ask ourselves. And the third thing that what Jesus is reminding is, you need to witness through your actions. It is not just saying that I believe in God. It is not just saying that I am showing obedience to God, but you need to show witness to God. St. Paul, while writing letter to Galatians chapter 6, verse 10, he says, so then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are of the household of faith. Help the believers' community. Helping one another. Help the believers' community. Especially to those of the household of faith. Take every opportunity. Don't wait for the opportunity to come. Look for the opportunities. That is what St. Paul is reminding the early church. Take every opportunity. So then we have opportunities. Let us do good to everyone. And Jesus also reminds that, what about your food? When that question was asked, Jesus is saying, my food is to accomplish the work. John chapter 4, verse 34. Someone read that. ఎస్, నాకు ఆహారం ఏంటి అంటే జీవనోపాధి అన్నట్టు. వాట్ ఈజ్ యువర్ సస్టెనెన్స్? ఈజ్ డూయింగ్ అండ్ అకంప్లిషింగ్ ద మిషన్, ద వన్ హూ హ్యాస్ సెంట్ మీ. the purpose and the plan of your existence, you need to ask God, Lord, what is the purpose that you have chosen me? When you are sending me on this purpose, am I really accomplishing those works? Here Jesus is saying that, even to accomplish, that is my food. That is what the satisfaction. For Jesus, the satisfaction is not the materialistic things. That is what he is trying to say. My satisfaction is, the food is the satisfaction, isn't it? We eat for satisfaction. If you are not satisfied, we don't eat food. And Jesus says, my satisfaction in my life is to accomplish the work, the one who has sent me. That means to witness through our actions. We need to witness through our actions, as how St. Paul reminds to the Galatians church members. And also to Ephesians also he reminds this very powerfully. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 7 to 10. Therefore do not become partners with them, with the people who live in darkness. For at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light, for the fruit of light is found in all that is good and right and truth, and try to discern what is pleasing to the Lord. To the early church, he is trying to lay strong spiritual foundations so that the church will not get ruined or a church will not get troubled. In order to church to sustain and stand, St. Paul is teaching these fundamental values of faith. That is, once you were darkness, it is not that once you were in darkness, you yourself were darkness. You yourself was evil, that is what it means. You yourself was unable to recognize the light. You yourself was unable to perceive the existence of your coming into the world. You yourself is unable to recognize the essence of life. But now you know the essence of your purpose. The existence God has revealed to us. And now he is reminding that, now once you were in the darkness, but now you are the light in the world. Not standing in the light. You are that light. What a great privilege. What a great elevation. You were darkness and now you are the light. You are the light of the world. Even Jesus also tells us. He reminds time and again, Nivu lokamnaku velugu. You are here to drive away darkness. That is how your witness should be. Your testimony should be. Your personal life, your family life, your community life should be testifying to the one who has sent you. We must do the works of him. Whether he is doing with the spit, whether he is doing with the dust, whether he is doing with the water. Don't get deviated with those things. Accomplish the work, the one who has sent you. దేవుడు నీ జీవితంలో తలపెట్టినటువంటి కార్యాన్ని ముగించడానికి నీవు ఆయన చిత్తాన్ని కనుగొని ఆయన కొరకు విధేయుడిగా జీవించడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేయాలి. Then only it is the fullness of life. Then only there is a meaning for your existence. Then you are saved, and in and through your life you are able to influence others and transmitting that light to the coming generations. Shall we bow our heads and pause for a moment?